Hi there, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about the Mission Impossible series of films. Not the series itself, the series of films that followed. The ones with Tom Cruise. There are 6 in all, and 4 of them are really good. And 2 of them aren't. But I'll get to those. Right, so it started in the mid-90s. They decided to update Mission Impossible. They hired Brian DePalma to direct it because DePalma had done Untouchables like years before, and it had been a massive hit, critically acclaimed. It was the be-all and end-all of adaptations of TV shows, and there hadn't been anything as good as it really. The only other really good one was The Fugitive. So really there was only like 2 directors who actually pulled off the adaptation of a TV show. One of them was De Palma, so he got the job to do Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise. And what they created was a very twisted, dark film with some amazing set pieces. I mean, this was a film that starts off by killing off most of the team and then puts Tom Cruise on the run for the rest of the film, where he's viewed as the villain by his own people, and he has to steal lots of stuff from his own people and just try and survive. And they brought in Robert Towne as one of the writers. David Cope was one of the other writers. There's a lot of aggro behind the scenes in the script apparently. Like one writer would come in, then another writer would come in, and they'd back and forth between these 2 writers to get the final film done. And De Palma apparently wasn't very happy with Robert Towne. That's all I've heard. And it's one of those films. There's problems in the background, but you don't really notice it that much in the film itself. It works. The film works despite all the arguments. Like they found the compromise they needed, and the film just works. It looks beautiful because De Palma directed it. And he knows how to set shots up. You've got a terrific opening third where you've got the Mission Impossible team setting up, finding out who their target is, getting ready, planning the thing, and then it all goes to pot. Everyone dies, and Cruise is on his own, and then he finds out he's wanted by his own people. It's a terrific first third that just, I think it lasts like 45 minutes. It's so good, it's so dark and twisted, but they don't tell you it's going to go wrong, but it just suddenly just goes completely wrong. When it starts going wrong, it's a rolling effect of everything going wrong. Then we go into the midsection where Cruise has to figure out who betrayed him and why, which leads him to having to steal the NOC list, which is this list of all these agents in the world, and he has to go and steal it from the CIA headquarters, in Langley. So they have to actually go into the Pentagon and actually steal the list. And this is massive. Everyone's probably seen this film. And the computer terminal, they have to go through the air vents, drop down, and there's all these different problems where the touch sends the floor, the temperatures are at a certain level you can't do anything with. There's noise things, so you can't really break in when there's no one in the room. But they have to find a way to break in anyway and get these files. It's a wonderful sequence, it's highly acclaimed. It's still the sequence that the series has not managed to top. It's still that good, it's still the sequence that people say, that's Mission Impossible, that sequence is Mission Impossible. It's like, try and top that, you're probably not going to. You know, and they've tried, they've done some great stuff, but I don't think they've ever really topped that. That's still the highlight of the series, is this first one. It's so good. And I think some directors have been, especially early on, the sequels early on, were a bit intimidated by this sequence and tried to avoid doing anything like it. Even when they had to, for plot reasons, they still tried to move away from it because it was like, you can't really top it. It's just, there's no way. Then we get towards the resolution, we find out who the villain is. And obviously, it's a 20-year-old film now. The villain is Jim Phelps, played by Jon Voight, who was the hero of the TV show. Now this is a big controversy for the fans, that they made the hero of the TV show the villain of this film. But it doesn't matter. It's a different character, it doesn't matter. And, you know, because it's like a different actor playing him, so you can just view it as different timelines or something, I don't know. I thought it was great because it really twisted the fans up and made it something different, made it like, oh, this is a new thing. It also leads to a great sequence on a train which isn't as good as the other sequences, but it's still really good because DePalma's directing it. And it also leads to a terrific sequence where DePalma puts Cruise on top of a train, chasing after the villain, which ends up into a tunnel, which ends up being terrific again. The finale is going well, but not great compared to the other sequences until they get to the tunnel sequence. That's just amazing. That's so good. And it leads to a terrific sequence with a helicopter and a rotors and a tunnel is. Again, it's another one where they found it hard to top these sequences afterwards, because there really wasn't anything until the fourth one that really had the same impact as these sequences in the first film. First film was really about the sequences. The human stuff wasn't as good. You had some good actors playing parts and doing their best. You had well-known actors like John Reno and Ving Rhames come in, and Ving Rhames got to get a part that went on forever in the series. Everyone else got killed off. But Vanessa Redgrave came in having fun as a arms dealer, information trader. Everyone was having fun, everyone was enjoying it. It's still Cruise when he's overacting slightly. He hasn't learned to underplay quite yet. But it's a very enjoyable film. There's some wonderful sequences, there's wonderful moments people lying to each other and figuring out what is really going on with the line. It's just a really well made blockbuster. It's one of those things like, this is how you do a blockbuster, you know. You may think it may be a lack of human interaction because it's such a spy movie and everyone's lying to each other. That's a valid criticism of it. And that's something they try to sort after they went on. But apart from that, it really is so well made. It's so well put together. Everyone did their bit. It was a good combination of talent coming for this film, even though they weren't always getting on behind the scenes. You had some really well written scenes by Robert Towne in there. You also had some great scenes with DePalma being DePalma and doing these great suspense moments. So, really well put together film. Made a lot of money. Was well respected. Was not viewed as an obvious sequel bait though, because it did really well, but it was not it was released the same year as Independence Day, and Independence Day was a big blockbuster. This was like second or third of that year. But still, because it's Tom Cruise, they made a sequel. Because it made money, they thought, let's try a sequel. So they brought in John Woo to try and make it more human and less cold and more romantic. Try and go towards things that were criticised for not doing the first one. So John Woo was brought in, great action director, but he doesn't do suspense. He can bring romance to it, he can bring a lot of stuff to it, but he can't do suspense. He doesn't know the mechanics, he doesn't have the patience for the mechanics. That kind of stuff bores him. And the problem is, this film was written as a suspenser. I would say it was written, I wouldn't say it was written well. This is done by Robert Towne. Ronald Moore, who did Battlestar Galactica later, was one of the writers of the story who developed the script, and then Robert Towne came in and developed the script further. And it feels that Robert Towne wrote the script in crayon, because it's a terrible script. It's awful. It's one of those ones where everyone said the action was great, but what the hell was that with the story? The story is bonkers. The story doesn't make any sense, especially now in the coronavirus period, where the whole idea of the film is the developers of this pharmaceutical company have to actually create an antibody that could create this drug that could help with flu and all the rest of it. Created this killer virus so they could use that as a base to get a cure, so that whatever they had as a cure could then be manufactured as a really good cure for flu and things like that. That was what they were doing. That's what they were told they were doing to the people developing it. Then the guy in charge got corrupt, decided it was good to actually sell it in the black market, the actual disease as well, and it's a disease which he has a cure for. Also, the villain steals this, played by Douglas Scott, but he doesn't have, but he's a moron. The whole film, the guy's a moron. And the whole idea of the story is they're going to release this disease on the world, it's going to spread everywhere, and they've got a cure, so the cure will be worth so much money. Except if they've got the cure and everyone knows they've got the cure, they'll know who spread it and they'll get arrested. It's just stupid. It's just so obviously stupid from the base story. Right. So you've got a plot that's dumb, and you can watch, as you're watching it, you can work. I mean, when I saw it, I could work out what the plot was like instantly. As soon as I did the killer virus thing, you knew what the villains were after, and you knew it was stupid, and it was like, well, that's that. I'm watching a moron film, you know. And you've got all these supposedly suspense sequences watching it, and people trying to betray each other for stuff that you don't care about. And the lead character's a moron. You know. Douglas Scott character, you know, is not bright. Douglas Scott as a villain, he's doing his best. I mean, he heavily criticised the film because of his character, but it wasn't the actor, it was a character. The character was stupid. He was asked to do things that were dumb. So he just had a sneer and had a perverted interest in the leading lady. And that's as far as he could do. So he just went with anger and went with try to be as funny as possible. Trying to get through this terrible script by Robert Towne, the acclaimed Robert Towne. And it led to just a boring character and a boring film. But he tried his best, I don't blame him. So you have a dumb villain, you also have a dumb hero who always seems to be doing things for obscure reasons. The Cruise character was pretty unlikable in this film. Just smug and boring, and not much like the first character in the first film. It's like they're still trying to work out who the character was. And he didn't have much to do. The leading lady was fine too, Sandy Newton. She was fine, she did her best, but she was given nothing to do. She was trying her best with nothing really. The thing that saves the film really is John Woo, when he's allowed to actually be John Woo. Like, early parts he tries to be romantic, and those parts have some charm to them, way over the top, but they have charm. They're really enjoyable, even though they're really cheesy. And whenever he's a chance to have an entrance of some character meeting someone else, having an entrance, like when Sandy Newton meets Douglas Scott for the first time, the wind's blowing, her scarf goes, and he grabs the scarf, and it tells you a lot of the characters. Stuff like that, John was great at, and when he ever gets a moment to do that stuff, he's great. But they don't give him many moments. When he gets towards the end, when he actually has some great action scenes, you know, when Cruise finally has the ammunition to go against the villain and actually go and start shooting people, it's great. It's John Woo. He's blown stuff up. Even though it's a PG-13, he can't have lots of people massacred. There's still a lot of people getting killed. You wonder, where do all these people come from suddenly? Because the villain had a small group and suddenly he's a massive amount of henchmen. It doesn't matter because it means he can kill some people. And the reason I said Cruise's character's a moron in this film is, at every opportunity in the film, all he had to do was send in the troops. At every opportunity he could send in, he had enough information to send in troops to say, these people are dodgy, you better go and clean this up right now, send in the guns. At every opportunity in the film, from pretty much the halfway point, he could have sent people in. He was dealing once again with someone from his own agency going rogue. This became the usual thing in Mission Impossible movies, but it was done a lot better later on. But it's one of those cheerful messes because the script's so terrible when John Woo's trying his best, but he's just mismatched the material. They're trying to make it a sophisticated thing where Cruise is sending in his love to dangerous situation, and it's maybe a notorious situation where like Cary Grant's sent Ingrid Bergman for something and the spies, but this doesn't really pay off because as soon as she's in, she's found information straight away, she's get back out, and she can't get back out, and it's like, why do you set this up in the first place if you're not going to pay it off? And the whole film's frustrating like that. They're setting stuff up there and stopping it and starting and stopping it, and you have a big break-in sequence where they suddenly realise they can't do the DePalma thing, so they try to do acrobatic thing for like Cruise actually do something different, but it's not as good as what was originally there, and everyone watching the film knows it, and everyone's waiting. I remember watching the film thinking, when are we going to get to the gunfights? It's John Woo's directing, when's the gunfights coming? It's Mission Impossible, there should be gunfights here. And there isn't until the end. The whole film is just this mess, but because it's a mess made by a guy who's a good director on his own area, oh, you know, it's so enjoyable. It's such an enjoyable mess. It's a train wreck of a film going wrong, but because they've got John Woo directing, it still kind of works. In spite of itself, there's still so many little bits that still work. You're thinking, I'm happy to watch this, even though half of it doesn't work. It's still, the bits that do work really work. I should say I've watched all these films recently on 4K, and they all look gorgeous. So that really helps. So now I'm going to go to the third one, which is another bit of a train wreck. This is the last one before You're Good Again. This was J.J. Abrams come in. This is his first film. I'm not going to be really roughing him in this one because it's his first film as a director. You know, there are some obvious rookie mistakes. The film is 20 minutes too long, and it should have lost some stuff in the middle. You know, it just drags on in certain sequences. You know, certain things are over-explained and stuff like that. It's a bit of a mess. The bigger problem is the series is starting to find itself a bit more now again. They're going to go into making a bit more grounded after what John Woo did. They're going to go a bit more grounded. That's what they continue with after this one. But they set up so many other things that are against Mission Impossible ideas, which is the Mission Impossibles, which was meant to be a small group of people doing a small unit that works with the government, but slightly outside it, you know, and suddenly it's this massive organisation, which doesn't make sense for what they're doing. It doesn't feel right for the world they've set up before, which is very high secrecy and not having offices and being basically a rogue agent throughout the world for the Americans. And now they've got an office they'll go to, and Cruise is training people, which makes sense he's training people, but suddenly it just feels like it's too much an office environment. So that doesn't really work. And the whole film has a villain. Philip Seymour Hoffman's a villain. He's very good, but his character's garbage. His character is there to be intimidating, but he has no purpose, but he's getting used by someone from the inside of the IMF, obviously, because there's always a villain inside. They set it up as Lawrence Fishburne as the guy in charge of the spy group, but he's so obviously tagged as a villain. You know he's not the villain. You know it's Billy Crudup as Cruise's pal. You know he's the villain. It's set up so obvious that he's the villain, and it's so sad because they think they've got it over you that you don't know, and anyone can see it coming a mile away. The bigger problem, outside the fact that the plot is so obvious, and the plot's motivation is dumb as hell, because the plot is Kudryk wants to get this thing into the hands of terrorists so he can point out to the government this is the hand of terrorists, so that they'll go all in a war against different countries. So it's obviously a 9/11 metaphor, you know. But America doesn't need any excuse to go in stupidly to other countries and mess them up. All it needs is a bit of an excuse, you know. They can find easy excuses than that. And there's such a timeline of stuff going back to the Americans as well. It just feels like paranoid. It feels like someone in the scripting process is not very bright but very paranoid. You know, it just feels weird and wrong. It just does not feel like someone anyone would fall for. You're setting up some other people to be a dupe, using the other people, and it doesn't really tie into the rest of the film either. It's just this suddenly political message that America is up to no good and sets people up. And this plot's been used in other films like Long Kiss Goodnight, where it worked fine because it was set up in a certain way that was funny and darkly humorous. Of course, it's cynical. In this one, it's so much more like, you didn't know if we were evil too. And it's like, yeah, of course we do. We've seen so many things. It's like, this is dumb. It's a dumb plot twist. But even worse, the rest of the film's dumb too. The rest of the film has plot twists that are nothings really. The big nothings. That's this idea that rabbit foot is this thing. You never find out what it really is, which is lazy plotting basically. So it means that you don't have to define what it is and define a plot around about it. It's not about actually mystery. It's a plot. It's something J.J. Abrams have done a lot. The mystery is there so he doesn't have to define anything, so he doesn't have to get tied into any plot line, which means the plot is very weightless. That's something he continued with, and it made it much worse. His other films much worse because they would never define anything. I mean, it allowed him to do anything he wanted, and it made the plots always feel very weak. And also, for a spy film, there's not much spy work. It's a lot of murders. The first sequence, they go to Germany and they kill everybody. Which the first two films, even with John Woo directing, were trying to kill lots of people. The third one, they instantly kill tons of Germans. Then they go into the Vatican and do a lot of damage there. That's the one bit of spy work they do, but most of the spy work they're doing there, you don't need for the plot. It's just to say, it's a Mission Impossible movie, so we're doing this. But you don't need it. And it goes on forever, and this is one of the sequences that go on forever, and it's like, why am I watching this? Then, you get more murders, where they're bringing back Philip Seymour Hoffman because they've captured him, and they have a sequence where when they land and he's in a truck, they're going to destroy everything to get this drug lord out. Kind of like License to Kill. It's basically a plotline from License to Kill, and a bit of True Lies in there. So they're going to get him out of there, and they blow everything up. And this is a big tragedy because it's taking place in America. Anything that happens takes place in America. It's a big tragedy, and we must protect the people. As soon as they go overseas, doesn't matter. Kill anyone you want. They go to Shanghai, where they have a chase through the poor areas of Shanghai after Cruise gets this MacGuffin thing, and they're shooting everywhere, and who knows who gets killed. And it's like, this just feels really racist. It's like, if you're not American, your lives don't matter. I'm joking, really. I don't think they've thought about it this closely, but it feels very dodgy. It's almost like American lives do matter more than anything else. And it's very kind of the product of a very spoiled race. Like, we matter, you don't. It's like, if you're German, doesn't matter. If you're Italian, doesn't matter. If you're from Shanghai, it really doesn't matter, because we just have tons of bullets, we don't even see the damage. That's how little it matters. It's really, really weird. It's also weird because the rest of the series don't do that. The rest of the series is like, they take great pains not to kill lots of people. That's the whole idea. They don't want to be seen, and they don't want to cause lots of damage. And when someone gets killed, it's a problem. Because it's not sociopathic. In this film, it's sociopathic. It's just like anyone who's not American. So, doesn't matter. And the big run in to try and get the rabbit's foot is the nonsensical bit where they have to swing from one building to the next, then fly down this part of the building and shooting all these people who they say, they don't matter, they're just hired goons, they're villains. And it's like, God, they're killing so many people. They kill more people per minute in this film than they do in the first movie throughout it. Like, more people die in the first sequence of this film than the whole probably of the first film. And maybe the second, Now we go on to the fourth one. This is where the series got a lot better again. This is where the series picked up, and it was like, oh, thank God, we're actually in good hands again. I have much less to complain about now. So probably a much shorter video now. Brad Bird came out for the fourth one. This is his first film he made as a non-animator. He did The Incredibles, he did Iron Giant, Ratatouille, all these animated films. Now, because he made so much money as an animator, he was allowed to make a film live action. And he got it through Mission Impossible. And it worked out really well. Again, it's one of those films, apparently there was some problem behind the scenes where the script wasn't quite what they wanted to be when it first started. And they brought in Christopher McQuarrie behind the scenes to sort the script. He didn't get credited, but from what we've heard, everybody can acknowledge he saved the script. And the film just works so much better. The film is just on point. It's a genre film. It goes back to the basics of the first film, which is, this is a genre film. Like, we may have pretensions about the real world. This is a genre film. It's about heists. Government heists, non-stop. Trying to find this, trying to find that. Nothing more. It's a heist movie. And it's a joy. It's so good. Cruise suddenly looks a lot more relaxed in the part. Like, it's been like 5 years since the last one. And he's gone through a few up and downs since the last one in his life. maybe it was the direction, maybe it was the writing, but he suddenly seemed much more relaxed. The fact that the script actually made a lot more sense to the character also helped. Like, he was a much more calm character who was much more weathered and who no longer was jumping for joy with the thought of doing an impossible stunt, but he had to do them anyway, and it became a joke for the rest of the series as some of the stuff to do, and they're always making jokes like, yes, it's fine, he'll be fine doing it, don't worry. And he's like, ah, you know, it suddenly became a much more human character. And they actually had a team suddenly that actually was working. Because they brought in Jeremy Renner as a guy with a past, a mysterious past, who you don't find about towards the end. You've got Simon Pegg from the last one coming in as a guy called Benji, who was in the last one a little bit, but kind of uses comic relief. He still uses comic relief through the films, but they give him a bit more seriousness now. And Paula Patton as one of the other ones. Her boyfriend was killed in the first 2 minutes, so she's out for revenge. You have Michael Nyqvist as the villain, who's a nuclear guy who went nuts and thinks you need to start a nuclear explosion to actually get people to take nuclear power seriously and actually to save the. He thinks he's saving the world by actually setting up some nuclear weapons. So he's mad, but he's also a guy who's trained by the military in Russia because he's Russian. And he's up to no good, but he knows enough how to mess around with the people against him. And the whole film just works. I mean, it is kind of the first one where it just works. It knows what it is. It knows you just have to get from one set piece to the other with as little time as possible. Don't have that many sequences in between where you're having lots of talk that doesn't matter. Just get from one set piece to the other and make sure the set pieces are fun and give the actors some nice character interactions between them. And it just works like gangbusters. Brad Bird knows how to set up action scenes and suspense scenes. He can do both because of animation. He knows how to set up shots to make everything work. He's actors know what they're doing so that his inexperienced working with actors like in live action doesn't become a problem because they know what they're doing, so they can work with them and these experienced actors. Everyone's having fun, everyone's interacting well, and you have some good set pieces. There's a bit in the Kremlin early on where the Kremlin, halfway through the Kremlin mission, it all goes to pot and the whole place blows up and they're framed for it. There's a nice jailbreak at the start as well. They bring back the idea from the first one as you see flash the rest of the film as in the title sequence. Paul Hirsch, who was the editor of the first one, who edited a lot of DePalma films, come back to edit this one. And that brings a formality there that actually wasn't there in the 2 and 3. And you also have they actually bring in another terrific set piece in the middle of the film. Just like they had in the first one with the CIA headquarters break in, this one they have to climb the world's tallest building and the equipment goes wrong, so the equipment's useless and they have to get from one floor to the other from the outside to do some of the computer so that this corner plane will actually take place. So it's all about, that's the one thing that if they don't do it, they can't get to the next part. The sting becomes much more harder than anything else in the sting. And that's what you really need a Mission Impossible thing, is something, there's an obstacle that becomes worse and worse and worse. And everything goes wrong as it happens. So you have Cruise hanging out of this world's tallest building. And it's great fun, it's so enjoyable to watch. That's all you need in this film, it's this kind of thing. And then they go to India later on, and there's, even before that you have a chase through a sandstorm. You know, Cruise is following a guy through a sandstorm in Saudi Arabia, and you can't hardly see anything, and it's wonderfully done. And he's running into things and he's bashed about, because he gets bashed about a lot of these movies, but here it actually makes an impact. And then you've got the stuff in India where they have to run through the city or drive through the city quick to get to this location that could be the thing that's being used to set off a nuclear war. You know, and there's also a bit in an Indian palace where there's a kind of Bollywood sequence as well as they're doing some spy work. And they're sending Jeremy Renner through this tunnel that's overheating and he's floating these magnets. There's just lots of stuff. There's a nice teamwork there. Everyone seems to be playing off each other well. There's some good humour. You know, it just works. It's a bit of hokum. It knows it's hokum. It just works so well. Made by a director who knows what he's doing with this kind of thing, so he can have some good character work, but also know the big fun is in the set pieces. Ghost Protocol was great fun. I've seen it countless times. I'm happy to watch it anytime. It's just a really well made bit of Hollywood melodrama. Just really well done. So, very enjoyable. Then Christopher McQuarrie came back for part 5 as a director and a writer. And he's now been the director from then on. He's in part 6 and he's doing 7 and 8. So him and Cruise have worked together on Jack Reacher. He's also was the writer on Edge of Tomorrow. And he's helped polish a couple of other Cruise films too. So him and Cruise have a good relationship. And Rogue Nation, I think, is the best one since the first, really. Much I really like Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation I think is better. It's not as stylistically shot as Ghost Protocol, because Ghost Protocol was made by an animator with a good DP who had a very visual eye. The Rogue Nation is stylized a bit less, but it's sort of much more primal as a machine of a movie, because it's written better and you're going from A to B to C to D, always in a rush. Things are always moving forward. You never have a chance to breathe. Everything's going wrong, always. And it just really works. It starts off with Cruise hanging off a plane in the first few minutes as a mission goes wrong, and that's just a pre-credit sequence. It ties into the rest of the plot, but only slightly, like a Bond sequence. And it's a poster shot. And you see that poster well before you see the film, and then you see the film and that's the first 5 minutes, you know, which is a nice way to sell a film. There's another break-in sequence, this time underwater, where Cruise almost drowns. You've got a new antagonist, Solomon Kane, who's this British Secret Service psychopath who doesn't mind killing lots of people. He's played by Sean Harris, who does a really terrific, creepy job. Rebecca Ferguson is a character called Elsa Faust, obviously homage to crazy European films. It could have been a Fritz Lang name, you know. And she's undercover and she could be working against Cruise or working for the villains, or she could be a double agent, no one's sure throughout the film. You suspect she's working with them, but you're never quite sure. You want to twist it back and forward. Her and Cruise have a nice interaction throughout. Probably the best chemistry she's had with any actress in any of these films. Simon Pegg's back as Benji again. Ving Rhames comes back. Jeremy Renner's back as well. So is Alec Baldwin's introduced as the head of the CIA who's hunting Cruise down because Cruise is in the run again. Because he's been set up and Baldwin hates him for breaking into the CIA in part 1. And also for the Kremlin blowing up in part 4. So all the problems of the first few films, all the mistakes they made are brought back to haunt them in this one. And this is a chase movie. There's a sequence in Vienna in the opera which is part Godfather 3 finale, part end of Back to the Future 2. But really wonderfully done, as Cruise suddenly has to go up against various villains who are also all trying to kill this one guy. And they're all taller than him, which they make jokes about Cruise's height. There's a terrific sequence after the heist where they have to, after out the heist and Cruise has died and he's been brought back to life, they have a car chase through a city with all these guys on bikes trying to shoot them, and the car starts pedaling all over the place. And then there's a bike ride through the countryside. It's insane because it's obviously the actors doing the stunts and you can see they don't have protection and it's really nuts. And then you go to London for another insane set of sequences where people are kidnapped and the plot's resolved and there's lots of really weird twists as they can finally work out how to defeat. They finally work out what the villain's after, because you don't know for the first 2/3 of the movie. He's just played them so much and he's been prodding them and making them do his bidding. Then the final third they find out what he's after, and then they find out a way to actually twist it on him. And it's also unique in this series where Cruise does not get the final fight. It's Rebecca Ferguson gets the final fight against this other thug that who's part of the Sean Harris's team. Obviously, spoiler, she turns out to be a good guy, or a good girl. And she gets the big fight at the end, and Cruise has to fool the villain but it's more of a mental thing than a physical thing. She gets the fight though, she gets a really good fight. It's a really fun film. It's just so well made, and it's just enjoyable pulp. And it's easily rewatchable, even though you know what's coming. There's always little jokes. If you know what's actually happening, there's a lot more humour to it. And it's just a really well made film though. I mean, it's very rewatchable, just like the fourth one. It's very rewatchable, very enjoyable. Apart from the first one, this is probably my favourite of the series. This one really just delivers. Fallout is part 6, and it's also the first time a director's returned to do the next film, which is Christopher McQuarrie. And so he changed up a lot, he changed the DP, he changed up the person scoring the film, and a lot of people just so it would feel a bit different. Again, but there's a lot of similarities where it doesn't stop moving throughout. And basically in this one, Cruise is trying to find a guy called John Lark, who's tied to the villains from the last one, the Syndicate, who's working with people from the Syndicate who weren't caught last time and who are still plotting the downfall of the Western world. And this guy John Lark, who's working within the agencies, is trying to get nuclear weapons so he can set them off throughout the world and cause as much damage as possible. And it's basically a chase to find out who he is and how to stop him. And also you find out Sean Harris is back as the villain from the last one, and he's playing his own game with Cruise as well. So they've got two different villains they have to deal with. Villains who aren't on the same side but are working together for their own advantage, because they both get similar aims, but they don't particularly like each other, but they've got similar aims, so they work with each other. And there's lots of double crosses, there's lots of action scenes. They're scene after scene of double crosses. There's a halo jump at the beginning which takes the place of the break-in. There's no massive break-in this time. Instead there's a halo jump that takes that place of that one, which then leads into a scene in a nightclub, a big fight scene in a nightclub, which then takes place in another big fight scene in a nightclub, then goes straight to a set-up for the next big set piece. So it just never stops. And Cruise's character is always, because he's undercover, he's always having to make it up every 10 seconds, something new to keep himself from not being caught. And there's some nice twists and turns of how everything goes. Rebecca Ferguson's back as always a Faust. She's got her own agenda as well. She's not working with Cruise, but not working against him either. It's something, they've got antagonism, but it's about the mission rather than personal. Ving Rhames is back, so is Simon Pegg as the part of the team. The wife from the third movie is back as well for a brief bit at the end. Henry Cavill's back as here as a new character that comes in, and he's a good presence because he's just a brute compared to all the other. Everyone else is doing all these weird mind games and he's just brutish and shoots everybody. So he's a very different character. And it's really enjoyable. It's just so much fun. I would say I like Rogue Nation better because I think in Rogue Nation, even though there's a few flaws in Rogue Nation, they have the best team together. They have the best group of actors and characters who are working together. And they're all working as a team a lot more in that one. In this one, they're in and out with each other, but it's more of a Cruise on his own type of movie. And then in Rogue Nation, it's like you've got Tom Cruise, you've also got Rebecca Ferguson in it, you've got Simon Pegg, Jeremy Renner, and Ving Rhames. Renner's not in this one, and the rest of the team's a bit more fragmented in this one as well. So there's less of a team effort in this one, which means I didn't like it quite as much, but still really enjoyable. There's a terrific sequence at the end where Cruise in the helicopter chasing the villain in the helicopter while they're trying to stop nuclear weapons from going off. That's terrific and shot in IMAX, and it's really insane. It's just a wonderful sequence, a wonderful series, and it's just really enjoyable. I'd highly recommend all the last 3 movies and the first one. The other 2 you can see if you want, but they're not that good. But those ones, the 1, 4, 5 and 6 are all great fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back later with another one, but bye for now. This is quite a long video, sorry for that. Bye.